Hey guys, Andrew here with Drew Fit. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today's video topic going to be the ultimate guide to just fruit until noon diet. Now, before I jump into that, as always, if you guys can please subscribe to my channel, like or share this video with somebody that can use this information, and also give me a follow on Instagram at DrewFit for more health tips. Now, to jump right into it, what is the just fruit until noon diet? Well, it is exactly what it sounds like, just eating fruit until noon, and then after noon, I'll talk about, some dietary tips that you want to follow if you're going to adhere to this diet. Now, to jump into what kind of fruits you should be eating, number one, you want to eat fruit that is going to taste good to you. And number two, that is going to be easily digestible for you. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with digesting those starchier carbohydrates, whether it's bananas or apples. And if that is you, I'd highly suggest, if you want to eat those foods, cook them at a low temperature. It kind of breaks down the starchiness to it and makes them more easily digestible. Or you can just find other fruit. There's a lot of good ones out there that are going to agree with you digestive wise. And I have my own opinion on what fruit I enjoy, what agrees with me, and that's going to differentiate for you. And I know that there are certain compounds to fruits that have, that offer a wider variety of benefits. For instance, oranges and kiwis have different impact than things like berries or bananas. So that's very individual specific, and I want to throw that out there. But one thing I want to, highlight when you are going to be doing this diet is the fact that you are putting yourself in a caloric restriction naturally, because those first 2 or 3 feedings, however many you're going to have of fruit in the morning until noon, is that you're going to put yourself in a slight caloric deficit for the simple fact that you're not going to be consuming protein and fat. So that's something you want to pay attention to, because when I first started this diet, I put myself in a major caloric deficit, wasn't really paying attention to how many servings I was having of fruit and just how big those servings needed to be to get the calories that I wanted. And I lost, I did a video, I think it was 10 pounds in like 10 days or something like that. So the weight did come off rapidly, but that was mostly because I was in a major caloric deficit. And I felt the effects. One of them was being that I will have coffee in the morning, and I know it's not fruit, it's not just fruit, but I do put a little bit of cream and sugar in there. But I do have a slight caffeine, intolerance, especially when I'm not eating enough food. And that's one thing I noticed early on. So be very aware of how much food you're going to be eating on these fruit servings, because chances are you're going to be, underestimating just how much food you're eating. And you're going to want to up those calories a little bit, or kind of pay attention to it so you can set yourself up for success long term. You don't want to be stripping off weight too fast. It's going to have negative consequences, and the reason you're going to want to do this diet is to capitalize on the benefits, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So, I touched on, what kind of fruit to eat, but let's talk about what foods you should be eating afterwards. Now, I'm a big fan of eating foods that, number one, are easily digestible, and number two, a diet that supports a healthy metabolic rate. I have many videos on this over the past 5 years. And there's a lot of great content out there from people in the pro-metabolic community. But it's going to be eating foods that, like I talked about, easily digestible, but also have a lot of nutrients that help support your metabolic rate, your thyroid function, stuff like that. And it's going to make this diet a whole lot easier. So what I like to do, what my meal plan looks like for lunch, or just after lunch, after I finish my last fruit feeding, about an hour or two after, I'll have lunch that is going to generally always be a high protein, moderate fat, whether it's like ground beef, eggs, and milk. That's generally my go-to, but I like to pay attention to the Randall cycle, which, not combining too much fat and carbohydrates at the same meal will impact your digestive ability for both of those, and it can kind of mess things up. It's called the Randall cycle. Look it up. I do want you to take that into account, because it is very important when you are trying to, optimize your health and optimize your physique, which is one reason why a lot of people do this just fruit until noon diet. So a high protein, moderate fat lunch, and then for dinner, especially on days that I work out, it'll again be another high protein meal with high carbohydrate. And a lot of these carbohydrates aren't going to be coming from fruit, especially on days that I train. They're going to be coming from more starchier sources, whether it's rice or potatoes, which are usually my go-to, especially on days that I work out. So pretty simplistic. I do like to follow the pro-metabolic approach for my afternoon meals, lunch and dinner. And I'm not going to dive into what foods to be eating, but easily digestible foods that your body agrees with. Now to the benefits of eating just fruit until noon. One of the things I want to point out here that the study talked about eating just fruit until noon while not having the interruption in the digestive system of consuming fats and protein, just having those carbohydrates, especially from fruit, because fruit contains very easily digestible when it's in isolation, a lot of those compounds. And what it does essentially is activates FGF21, which is fibroblast growth factor 21. And I noted here, it's a potent endocrine regulator with effects on glucose and lipid metabolism and can potentially manage obesity and metabolic syndrome. So very good benefit to have this. And my personal reasoning as to why that would be beneficial, like I talked about, eating fruit in isolation makes it much easier digestible. You're not trying to digest proteins. You're not trying to digest fats. It's simply glucose in its most simplistic form, glucose and fructose, which are the preferred fuel source of the cell. You're going to be optimizing liver function, which helps optimize the detoxifying pathways of the body. So getting that pure energy source without the interruption of those other macronutrients that your body's trying to digest is going to pose to be very beneficial. Other notes here, it can increase metabolic rate. Like I talked about, it's just straight cellular fuel. Glucose with no digestive disruption, protein, fats, already talked about that. Now some of the benefits that I listed here that I have personally noticed and other people have noticed. So this is from a kind of testimonial basis. People talked about fat loss and muscle sustainability by doing this, increasing digestive flow. You're going to the bathroom, like clockwork 2 or 3 times a day. Much clearer skin. If you have skin issues, acne, stuff like that, they've noticed benefit in that. Cleaner energy, lighter feeling, especially when you're working out, more mental clarity. And also you're getting a lot of essential vitamins and minerals that come from fruits that you can't get from other foods, which is fantastic. And another thing I wanted to point out here, and I'm not sure if this isn't any study, this is just my opinion on it, but when you are getting that straight fuel source of glucose and fructose without the interruption of those other macronutrients, is its effect on detoxifying polyunsaturated fats that we've been consuming. Like I talked about, glucose and fructose in isolation, especially in fruit form or honey, can really help optimize liver function, and having healthy optimized liver function and opening up those detoxification pathways also helps detoxify the overload of polyunsaturated fatty acid consumption. That's just my theory. There's no clinical research on this. It'd be cool if there was. But if you're coming from the pro-metabolic community like I am, avoiding polyunsaturated fats is pretty critical, especially if you're going to try to optimize your health. And I think doing the just fruit until noon diet will do just that by optimizing your detoxification pathway. So that is, basically all I got for you guys. I'm on month 3 of this diet. I didn't think it would last this long, but it's something that, number one, it tastes fantastic. It's very easy to do. You feel great, you feel light, and you can sustain a very good physique. I just posted on my Instagram a couple days ago that I hadn't been to the gym more than 2 times in the past month, and I still had a relatively visible 6-pack, good physique, which is fantastic. So it makes looking healthy, looking fit, pretty sustainable and easy, and that's what I'm all about. I don't like being neurotic about my approach. I like to put things in place that, number one, is going to help me feel good, and number 2, going to make me look good, and just optimize my health. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.